Live from Sin City, it's the Socks and Pinstripes Podcast. And now, here's the star of the show, Diet Dr. Griffin!
This is Diet Dr. Griffin back with another episode of the Socks and Pinstripes. No, I can't do this. The Dodgers, man, they just won't stop. Okay, it was bad enough that earlier this week they somehow convinced Roki Sasaki to take $6.5 million in international slot money instead of just staying over in Japan for 2 more years and then getting like a $200 million deal when he's 25, even if he wasn't anywhere near as good as Yamamoto is. And there's stories that this kid's supposed to be even better than Yamamoto was, even though he didn't put up the numbers that Yamamoto did in Japan. He got just somehow told by, Otani and like, hey, we'll make it up to you somehow, even though there's like no chance you're going to make it up to him. And then this morning, they freaking signed Tanner Scott too. I swear, this is beyond ridiculous. They are literally setting up a situation where the Dodgers are playing for first, have already won the World Series for the next 5 years, and everybody's just playing for second place. Like nobody outside of the Mets is really, really trying anything. And it is just beyond frustrating to be a baseball fan. I'm literally seeing posts on stuff about like, hey, the other 29 teams should just leave and start their own league and leave the Dodgers behind. Is beyond freaking ridiculous. I haven't seen anything like this since the 90s with the Yankees, where you just felt like the Yankees were going to win every single year, but it wasn't anywhere near as just bonkers with the money and the deferrals. And Steinbrenner wouldn't defer money. He's like, defer? No, 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 no. We're going to pay you everything up front because that's what a man does. This deferral crap is just beyond ridiculous. The Mets did the deferral thing because they were trying to get, money back in the 2000s from this guy named Bernie Madoff, and that really worked out well for them. They're still paying Bobby Bonilla on the slush money. Ay, ay, ay. It's a baseball fan. It's just who is going to be beating these guys?
Absolutely no one. The rest
The
of
Dodgers,
MLB
the
brought a
Dodgers
knife
have a
to
better chance of
gunfight,
beating
so.
the Dodgers than anybody because that's the only chance we got. They have the most brittle rotation of any rotation out there. You've got Tyler Glass now, who might as well have two S's in his name for Glass because he never pitches more than 120 something innings in a season. This kid, Roki Sasaki, he's never pitched more than 130. Yamamoto didn't make it through his first major league season intact. Blake Snell, he's had a lot of injury issues over the years. Granted, not in the same elbow and shoulder vein that some of the other guys had, but we're talking about a guy who went on the IL one time, hurting himself in the bathtub trying to move furniture. And, he hurt himself last year quite a bit with his hamstring and his groin issues as he's trying to figure out how to pitch again. And
Not only that, they're just sniping people from their NL rivals too. Like Tanner Scott
that's normal though.
Padres.
That's normal protocol. I mean, the Red Sox tried to snipe Mariano Rivera from the Yankees.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, that's normal business. I mean, the Padres aren't going to be paying anybody anytime soon because they're in this whole ownership mess situation where Peter Seidler's widow is suing the brothers that are running the team right now and saying that, they didn't like her because she's Indian. All sorts of craziness going on there. You got the Cubbies basically saying that, we don't make as much money as you think we do, and we're struggling to break even every year. That Hal is similar to that, but the Yankees are still, at least trying a little bit.
How they're going to be paying for this championship team for the next my whole entire life, the rest of our lives, they're going to be paying for this team.
Yeah, but they're going to be selling Otani merchandise for the next 100 years, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So
I don't know how they were able to just convince Roki Sasaki to come over because if Roki Sasaki was a free agent, just based on how he pitched in Japan, you would have to give him more than $100 million.
Wow.
At his age, with the stuff that he's done over there, you would
Yeah.
have to give him $100 million at least. He's
Yeah.
only 23 years old. If he was a free agent, you could justify giving him a 10-year, $100 million deal. Any team in baseball would give that to him.
Yeah.
And he would probably do a lot better than that. I mean, Yamamoto got 325 million and hadn't even
Yeah.
played a single game. So you're telling me Roki Sasaki, who is a guy who had 17 perfect innings in a row when he was 21 years old?
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, they pulled it, and it wasn't that he gave up the perfect in the second game. They just took him out because they wanted to protect his arm. He still
That's
had it intact in the second game. They took him out. And then obviously in the third game, that's when he gave up something.
that's insane. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, if you saw Roki Sasaki's stuff in the World Baseball Classic a couple years ago, he
Yeah.
got 100-mile-an-hour stuff. It's filthy. All of the Dodgers pitchers are like ace level Cy Young Award winner level talented guys.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
So is their
Ohtani might be
roster
the
on the field too.
Ohtani might be the worst pitcher of that rotation.
Yeah, honestly, that's crazy to say, but I think you're
Well,
probably right.
nobody knows how he's going to be after his second elbow surgery, though. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
saying it's Tommy John surgery, but he had some kind of elbow procedure.
Honestly, maybe he just should stay a batter after the year
He's
he
got
had
the
this
money
year.
now. Who cares if he ever pitches again, you know?
Yeah, he
Got the
doesn't need to
Dodgers to
ever
give him
pitch again.
$700 million.
Yeah, he doesn't need to ever pitch again either. So,
I mean, we saw also how bad Walker Buehler was last year coming off of a second Tommy John surgery.
yeah,
The guys who do well after the second one is just a small list. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi is a pretty steady pitcher after having two Tommy John surgeries, but he's not anyone you're going to confuse with winning a Cy Young award.
well, and he also
Uh,
doesn't really play a whole bunch of games anymore either.
that
So,
too, he always gets
yeah,
hurt. And
yeah,
you have Ohtani, Ohtani got hurt just trying to steal a base in the World Series,
yeah,
separated the shoulder. Think he's going to be
yeah,
doing that again?
yeah,
Oh, he's probably going to be like Freddie Freeman.
yeah.
Just get his hits and not steal bases.
Yeah,
Gut it out.
yeah, or steal bases on a broken ankle
Oh,
because
yes.
you're so hopped up on drugs that you're just like, let's go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. LA is burning and their baseball team is just throwing money just at whatever. When that's what happens when you're run by like a $65 billion hedge fund. Like who
Yeah,
cares what the Dodgers, you're spending 1 billion of the money here. I still got 64 over here. That's gonna just
yeah.
grow.
It's a
Numbered.
fire sale, and the Dodgers
The
are just
fire
throwing
sale
money on
during
it.
a LA wildfire.
And they're
Ah.
shopping with the rest. And MLB is their grocery store. So
Yeah, look, my heart goes out to those people in LA that are dealing with the wildfire issues. It's not just rich and famous people that are having their
yeah,
houses burned down, their lives disrupted.
yeah,
My technically my stepbrother, but he's my brother, but he lives in LA and he's doing okay, but there's a lot. I'm sure he
yeah,
knows people that are impacted by it firsthand.
yeah. My brother lives in Huntington Beach, so just south of LA, and he was saying that the power keeps going in and out intermittently because of it too. So
Yeah, they've had numerous power issues over the years with the California. I forget the name of the company, but this seems to be like a trend with the wildfires. They always have wildfires like every year there.
yeah, but never this close to LA actually. So it's like
Yeah.
no, generally it's like a couple of places will burn down kind of in the hills somewhere in not a very populated area, but never just, it's basically a forest of houses that the fire is moving through. So,
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break here after my little rant, and then we'll kind of try to get back into what the original agenda is for this week. Okay, we're back now. This is Diet Dr. Griffin doing the Socks and Pinstripes podcast. I had a nice set of happy pills during the break, so I'm calmer, more collective, and hopefully won't be going off the rails again.
Oh, challenge accepted, Griffin. Challenge
Yes,
accepted.
yes. Challenge accepted. Well, so let's talk a little bit about free agency and try not to make our heads explode again. So, your Mariners, what do you think about this Donovan Solano guy?
Oh, Griffin, you taught me a new phrase, and I've been using it casually in conversation. Dead cat bounce. So
Dead cat bounce. Yeah.
he's going to have a comeback year on a steady decline. So don't invest, you will be fooled.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like, honestly, at this point in time, Jerry and John just save the money and roll out the kids from AAA. And I guess like we'll see what they can do because spending draft picks and doing whatever it is you're doing, like, I just stop, please. Just stop. So I want to be wrong, but history has shown that I'm probably right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's nothing special,
There's
unfortunately.
nothing against the players either. I have nothing against
I'm
them.
surprised he got $3.5 million.
Yeah, I'm just like, if you're gonna overpay for someone good. Don't overpay for, some guy who should probably 1.5 is a good offer for him. But you can't get anyone to come here because he spent the last 2 years making the team worse. So,
Pete
yeah,
Alonso's still out there, and I wonder if he's even going to come back to the Mets at this point. Because
yeah.
you got the
He wants some money though. So
yeah, but I mean at this point he's probably gonna have to take one of those pillow contracts that like Chapman and Bellinger had to take last year. Where
yeah,
I don't know
for
where he's
the
gonna go. I mean the Mets have pretty much like moved on. It seems like the Mets, grabbed Jesse Winker again, and
yeah,
also signed AJ Minter to a
yeah.
deal. Minter played with was the setup guy for the Braves last year. Seemed like a pretty
Yeah,
good
maybe
player.
the Dodgers will make him a utility guy. So
I think he has first base eligibility. He could probably play first base. Yeah, you still
yeah,
got Mark Vientos and Brett, and they could play Brett Beatty at third if because he's
yeah.
a hot prospect still. They've got infielder spots. They still have Ronnie Mauricio who coming back from ACL surgery.
Oh, I forgot about Mauricio.
I
Yeah,
know he
that's
was
true.
really good. He was really good as a rookie.
Yeah.
No, the
Yeah,
Mariners.
I totally forgot he was on the team. Well, thanks for the reminder. So.
Yeah. Well, the Mariners signed their own Japanese pitcher in Shintaro Fujinami. It's going to probably be a reliever, I
Yeah,
think, for
we'll see how
Jeff.
he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Well, you can never
Athletics.
have too many. You can never have enough relievers on the Mariners. We're not good at picking up offensive players, so we just pick up pitchers and then designate them for assignment later. So,
Yeah, the Athletics. They signed Jose Leclerc for $10 million.
ooh,
They're,
I always liked Leclerc. He kind of struggled last year, but I
he
still think he's
was,
pretty good.
for some reason, he was always the guy that like the Rangers defaulted to as their closer, but he was always really bad at it.
Yeah, yeah. He's a pretty good setup guy, though. I think the
Yeah,
pressure
yeah.
gets to him. So,
He could definitely thrive as the setup guy because obviously Mason Miller is going to be your closer there in
oh yeah,
Sacramento. But Leclerc as a setup guy,
yeah.
that you could definitely do a lot worse than that. Where do you think the A's are
Mm.
going to end up? You think they're going to end up with a winning record this year?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. You heard it here first, everyone. The A's will have a winning record. I think the A's are going to be better than the Angels again,
Oh, for sure.
and I think the A's are going to be better than the Mariners this year. I think I said that last week, but I'm saying it again this week. So,
That one's going to be hard to say. I don't think they're going to be better than the Mariners.
we'll see. I mean, we have really great starting pitching. But the thing is there have been no injuries in the starting rotation, barring Brian Wu and I think Emerson Hancock. And that just doesn't 2 years in a row. That just doesn't I mean, trust me. Now on this, I really would love to be wrong, but like someone's going to have something happen at some point in time. And maybe that's next year. Maybe it's another year down the road, but I mean, we've been getting extremely lucky with the big three and having no issues at all with any of them. So
Yeah, I also don't think Logan Gilbert's going to have a losing record again.
I mean, it's hard to. There's no offense to support
How
him.
do you go how do you go 9-12 with like when you have 3.23 ERA and like you lead baseball in WHIP at
Yeah.
0.887 and
Yeah, dude. Because there's no offense. There's literally no offense. And if you thought the offense was bad last year, it got even worse this. I mean, granted, it's not over, but it's even worse this year on paper. Even worse than it was last year. So I don't think, I mean, if he gets lucky, he'll be lucky to have a winning record. But I mean, welcome to Felix Hernandez's whole entire life,
oh
where
yeah.
he's not even that good. His stats don't say he's that good. He probably won't even get into the Hall of Fame, and I think he's a Hall of Fame pitcher, honestly. So,
Kind of like Zach Greinke in his early years in Kansas City.
oh yeah, absolutely, same vibes as well. It's just like his numbers should be, Hall of Fame numbers already, and the guy's pitching 9 shutout innings and taking the loss 0-1. Yeah, that's just hard to, And then you look at his record and it's like, well, that WHIP is great. ERA is fantastic for a starting pitcher. Like could be better, but like the WHIP is actually what you really want. And a 9-12 record, and it's like, well, he just looks okay on paper, but he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. So
Yeah. Well, we did get some really, really sad news this week. Bob Uecker passed away at age 90. The
yeah.
former announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers, fun-loving personality guy. Probably a lot of our first exposure to him was in the movie Major League, where he
Oh
played the announcer, I believe Harry Doyle, just a bit outside.
yeah.
Just a bit of a classic guy and fun-loving former Major League Baseball player. So self-deprecating. Always make crack jokes about how bad of a baseball player he was.
But he was gonna retire this year, or he was gonna keep going.
I mean, if he could keep going, I'm sure he would have.
Yeah, I think so. Thoughts and prayers to Bob's family. But something kind of funny he said, I think last year in an interview, because a bunch of people went around kind of doing interviews with him, and all the radio guys, whenever they played Milwaukee, they'd go over to the home booth and say hello or have him on the segment. Because again, he's like such a great guy, or he'd like come over, and be like, oh, it's Bob's in the booth with us. He literally said on multiple occasions he wanted to do the job until he died. So he got his wish.
Yeah, it would have been nice if the Milwaukee Brewers had managed to win a World Series during his lifetime.
Oh man, yeah, that would it because it was how long did he do it? Like 50 years, something like that?
Yeah, the Brewers, I don't
Maybe
think have
even
ever
more
won a
than
World
that.
Series.
So yeah, crazy.
Yeah, they've been to a couple, but they haven't won at all. I was listening to
Yeah.
I was listening to David Sampson's podcast this week because apparently he knew Euchre back from his days when he was Sampson was the former president of the Marlins, and he apparently was married to one of the team doctors on the Brewers back in the day. So he like got to meet Euchre when he was back in high school, even before he had a life in baseball.
Oh
And
wow,
apparently
geez.
the two had like conversations quite frequently and stuff. And Euchre when Samson won the World Series, he's like, "Oh, all that stuff I told you really paid off, huh?"
Classic. Oh man, Euchre. R.I.P. buddy.
Yeah, I mean, he did other commercials and stuff too, and just lovable, lovable baseball personality. They don't make announcers like him anymore. We got a lot of just kind of bland guys out there just calling
I think
games.
I think our guy is pretty good. I always want to say Dave Niehaus, but it's not. It's Rick Sims. That's who it is. Dating advice from Rick Riz, and it's all like baseball puns on on what to do on a date. It's pretty
Oh,
funny. So,
jeez.
it's pretty good. So he's known for Holy Smokes and Goodbye Baseball, and every time he hits a grand salami. He shouts out to Dave Niehaus and goes, "Call Grandma, get out the rye bread and mustard. It's grand salami time."
I mean,
These,
see that sounds something like, our boy Sterling in New York there,
yeah, yeah.
Ostentonian home run. Something in Italian. I don't understand what he's saying, but he's saying something in Italian.
Yeah, I do love him. I just hate his call when the Yankees win. That's like the only thing I don't like about him, but it's like so irritating that I just can't do I can't do it. So
Well, there's no more him. There's no more Harry Carey. There's no more Jerry Remy, who was really a lot of fun with the Red Sox back in the day. And, Dennis Eckersley calling people human rain delays because they pitch too slow or just making bad jokes about players. I mean, closest thing we got to that now, I've heard, is Keith Hernandez with the Mets. We got some
okay.
of that stuff going on, but I'm gonna have to probably start watching some Mets games this year or something because it's gonna be
Yeah.
depressing
You
as a
know,
baseball fan this year just to watch everybody play for second place.
sure seems that way. So
I mean, are the Mets gonna find a way to put Alonso in right field and just sign him too while we're at it?
yeah, I mean, that's what they should do. So uh,
I mean, if the Mets don't sign Alonso, like they're still taking a step back, even if they got Soto.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
thing people not realizing. Like they have to sign another bat to even keep up.
Oh yeah, and not only that, just because you have Juan Soto, I mean, that doesn't, without the rest of the team around him, you're not really gonna, having a big name star. It's kind of like what the Padres got themselves into, when they got Juan Soto. It was like, oh, he's gonna make the team like so much better, and they didn't do anything that year. So
That they made the NLCS the first year that they had Soto. They picked him up at the deadline, and they had a good shot at making the World Series that year. They didn't do anything the following
no,
year.
yeah, that's right.
Was that was a
Okay, yeah,
very
that's the one I'm thinking.
that was a very weird year because if you looked at their runs scored and runs against, that was a playoff team right there. They
Yeah,
did better than some of the teams that actually made the playoffs. It's just that some of the games they had were so lopsided and it was just so inconsistent.
yeah, yeah.
But that was a playoff team right there. It didn't reflect in the win loss, and that's kind of the randomness of the game.
Yeah. Well, now with him out of San Diego, they probably have one of the best. San Diego has one of the best outfields as far as assists go. I was watching videos just today. Every single one of them. Fernando Tatis has a cannon. You got Jackson in center field, also throwing people out, and Jerickson Profar over in left. And it's just they're all throwing lasers everywhere.
Well, Profar is a free agent, so not sure where he's going to end up again.
Yeah. Saw Fernando Tatis throw someone out from right field. He threw the ball 96 miles an hour to Machado at third for a guy tagging at second. And he wasn't like in shallow right. Like he was in right field proper and threw the guy out like with plenty of time.
Yeah, he's got a cannon for an arm. Obviously, as reflected his shortstop time, he took that arm and just translated it over
Yeah.
to right field. And he's got so much range. He's probably the best defensive right fielder in baseball. Go along with that.
Yeah. I thought that the Padres really had a chance if they would have overmatched by the powerhouse that is the Dodger offense. But with Tanner Scott, you would think that just keeping the game manageable, they would have had a real chance to beat the Dodgers and not
They
go
did.
on.
They had a chance and they couldn't win the bullpen game.
Yeah.
And now they pretty much have to sell off probably a lot of their assets that they have because the ownership change and the fact that they were probably not making a lot of money down there. San Diego's not a big market. They lost their TV deal, so they're probably losing a lot of money down there.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not because they're the only thing down there now because the Chargers are in LA.
Well, I mean, they're not going to go away necessarily, but I'm just saying that like
Yeah.
Seidler, I think really kind of went to the limit of where they wanted to go money wise to try to get them to win during his lifetime because he was sick. I'm sure he probably knew he was sick a lot longer than the
Yeah,
others around him did. So
yeah,
he pushed it to the nth degree, and I think they're going to probably have to pull back. I mean, they haven't done very minimal things in free agency.
yeah.
They've
I
let
mean,
people go,
they have
and
a really good core, so we'll see what happens. But
yeah, I don't think though they're going to be any better than third in that division this year because you have the Diamondbacks who obviously when you sign Corbin Burns to a rotation that they have, they're probably the best chance that they have of taking the Dodgers down in that division.
yeah, it's just they shut down that offense and then keep the game close. Probably. Then they picked up a pretty good reliever too, I think. So
Yeah, you also have, the Phillies are still out there, and the Braves are still probably going to be looming as well. The Braves just kind of had a injury-riddled season last year, but most of that
yeah.
team is still together.
Oh
They,
yeah, and Raj is coming back. And last time he had surgery, he came back and had a career year. So
yeah. So our only hope of the NL is that Clayton Kershaw comes back and brings his beer belly out there and throws some critical innings in the playoffs and pulls a Nestor Cortez and manages to just blow the game for the Dodgers because that's like the only thing short of like the bus crashing and everybody getting like major owies and not being able to play. That's how the Dodgers lose is they get owies and just
I disagree with you. I
underperforming.
still don't think it's Nestor's. I still don't think that's Nestor's fault. I just think Freddie Freeman
I'm
is
not saying
better.
it was
So
Nestor's. I'm just saying that like he's gonna come into a game critical situation. We're gonna get playoff Kershaw again at some point.
okay, yeah, play. Yeah, just implodes like a dying star. So
Yeah. And on that note, we're gonna call it a day. You have any closing remarks? We totally went off the rails here. We'll get back to the fantasy talk next week. There were some fantasy numbers and drafts and stuff finally come up back on Yahoo. So I'm gonna probably do another mock draft or two in the next few days, and we can kind of talk a little more strategy then. But this whole Dodgers thing is just it's gotten way beyond anything rational here. They're gonna have
out
Michael
there.
Conforto hitting ninth and hit like 25 home runs.
Yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of this dynasty in the making, the team with the most consecutive World Series wins are the 1949 to 1953 Yankees, and that's five straight. So Dodgers got one. Do we have four more years? Who knows? So
I think it's more likely we get another World Series won by somebody named Will Smith than the Dodgers winning five in a row. Because that would only require one World Series win. And you
yeah.
got two chances. And on that note, we'll call it a day. Have a happy Martin Luther King Day. Enjoy the time that you guys have with baseball because it's going to be miserable pretty soon when the Dodgers just start winning. And all we can hope for is that they just have a major set of owies. See you guys.
I know.